Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into the Empath Summit. I'm Sara Lopez, host of the summit and intuitive coach, and today we are welcoming Rachel Pelisson. And Rachel has been a huge inspiration to me as a coach, and I really feel like she's someone that has cheered me on and just inspired me to be a healer. And she's very real and she brings so much fun to her work. So I'm so excited for you all to meet her. She'll be speaking on how to turn your empathy from a curse into a powerful healing gift. And Rachel, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Pelisson, and I'm an intuitive coach. I started my career, well, let me say, I started my spiritual path really around 2014 when I was hitting like financial crisis in my life, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to or where to get support, and I like randomly Googled like spiritual healer or teacher or something. Like I knew going to a therapist wasn't the avenue for me, and I found this woman locally and I started going to see her, and that's where I learned that I was an empath. And I remember the first time I went and got Reiki from her, she said to me, you have tons of cords, like you're corded all over to all these different people. And in the Reiki session, she cut the cords for me. And she said, I think you're really an empath. And so I had no idea what that meant back then. And I had no idea what energy cords were. But when I left that session, I remember stopping at the grocery store and I got out of my car and I was walking to the grocery store, and like it felt like the world was spinning around me. Like everything was moving faster than me. And I was like, where am I? Like, what planet am I on? Like, what's happening? And it was a bit disturbing and not fun feeling. Um, but I got my groceries. I think I went in and got them anyway. I got home and I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up and I felt the best I had ever remembered feeling in my whole life. Like I was up cleaning, doing dishes. My husband at the time was like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Because this was very out of character for me. And I was like, I'm good. I feel great. And so once I got all these cords cut and I got a clean, clear energy field, I was tapped into my own energy exclusively. I was energized beyond belief. And that lasted for a long time. So I think learning that you're an empath is extremely important, but more importantly is learning how to manage your energy field so that you can have consistent access to your own energy and you're not picking up other people's energy all the time. So I thought the first thing we would talk about is like what it feels like to be a disempowered empath. So Sarah, do you want to share at all like what you felt like before you knew you were an empath or before you knew how to kind of manage it?
Yeah, I really relate to what you said about having those cords attached to people energetically and not even realizing it as an empath. And where in the past I was really absorbing other people's energy and it was draining my own. And that was more when I was in a disempowered kind of state that you were talking about. And now that I'm in an empowered state, Rachel, you've helped me learn how to release some of those cords, and now I'm able to do it on my own and help others release them. So that was just a huge turning point in being able to just have more of a clear boundary and be in my own energy as an empath.
So before I understood what my empathy was, I was always extremely sensitive as a kid, growing up, and I wound up, but I always desired deep connection with people. But it was so difficult for me to connect with people because I would feel and pick up all their stuff. And I'd be like, oh, well, I want the fun, happy part, but I don't want all this baggage that you might not even know you have, right? Because I'm reading and feeling into people so deep, like far beyond what they're showing on the surface. We could be at a party, people are having a great time, they're laughing, they're chatting, they're living it up. But I'm feeling all the sorrow and the sadness that's underneath that they're not expressing in the moment, or might not be expressing at all anywhere ever. So I deeply desired like deep connection with people. I'm not a surface person. I'm not a small talker by any means. Like I want to go deep or I don't want to go at all. So I um what I wound up doing was I was turning to alcohol to numb my empathy. So I was binge drinking on the weekends and connecting with all these people, and it was so fun, and I was like such a party girl. But afterwards I would feel so depleted, so, I mean, physically hungover, right, but emotionally hungover as well. And I would land on the couch on Sundays, and especially in my later 20s when I was living alone and it was really becoming not a healthy way for me to live, and then I would binge eat. And that, so I was suppressing the empathy with alcohol, and then I was suppressing the emotions with food. And so in that disempowered state, I didn't realize I was picking up on other people's stuff, like at work, at parties, out everywhere, like sitting on the subway or the train. I was living in New York City at the time. I was anxious. I was picking up other people's fears. I was definitely feeling like I couldn't ground into the moment. And then with that would also come people pleasing and like avoiding conflict because you don't want to elicit those emotions in other people and feel them. So it was not a fun place to live. But once I found out I was an empath, it was like, okay, great. Now I know what's going on when I get around people and I start picking up their stuff. I remember going to family gatherings, and we would like go for the weekend. My grandma lived like 3 or 4 hours away. And I would go and I would I would love being around my family and I would be so happy. But I would leave and I would get in the car and I would like sob. Like I would cry because I would be like, I'm seeing and I'm feeling all the stories behind and the emotions, what people are actually showing at that event. I'm seeing all the sorrow and the suffering. So it was very difficult to enjoy things, especially once the alcohol wore off. So, um, so at least I got to this point where I knew I was picking up other people's emotions, and I knew I had to like cut cords and do those kinds of things. But excuse me, I want to walk through. Well, let's first talk about what it feels to be an empowered, embodied empath. Because that's where I live now, and Sarah, I think that's where you live now,
Yeah.
and that's where we want everyone to be. Um, and then I'll talk about the how and the tools, and we can either open up to questions if anybody has questions, or I'm happy to lead people through the grounding meditation and energy field clearing meditation that I use, because that changed my life in learning how to manage my energy. So
Oh, yeah. Not to speak for the group, but we would love that. I still play your YouTube grounding meditation video at least once a month or every
yeah.
couple of weeks.
Okay, cool. So living now as an empowered empath, I don't like the term highly sensitive person. It just, the word sensitive just holds a negative connotation to me. And maybe that's because I was called sensitive. I was told I was too sensitive, like, don't cry. Why are you crying over this? So the phrase that I use now, which really turns sensitivity, which kind of feels like, oh, why am I so sensitive? I use the phrase highly attuned to subtle energy. So what empaths have the capacity to do is to tap into these subtle energies and to feel them, to know them, primarily to feel them, but also to know them. So empaths tend to be very clairsentient. They can feel, and claircognizant, they just know. You can also have obviously clairaudience and clairvoyance, but like for me, I have all the abilities and they all come into play at different times. But when I'm around people, the clairsentience and the clairvoyance are what are most strong. So, sorry, I'm just fixing my notes here. They close me out. So highly attuned to subtle energy, like that sounds more like a superpower than just being sensitive, right? That's like taking things on. Highly attuned is like you have feelers out there that can tap in. So with that high attunement to subtle energy, empaths are actually very good discerners of energy. And by discernment, I mean it's easy for you to get in contact with someone's energy field and then say, yes, this person's energy feels good, or no, this person's energy does not feel good. And it doesn't, there's no shades of gray. There's either people that you are meant to engage with and spend time with, or people you're not. So don't let those shades of gray come into how you interact with the world. Like, it's a yes or it's a no. Okay, people are going to show up to teach you lessons in life, but you should learn those lessons quickly and move on from them. So start trusting your discernment. When I was in Costa Rica in December, went to a retreat with Sister Shanti, and one of the women who was her assistant, who's amazing and I love, we were doing a oh boy, I can't remember what it's called, a sweat lodge. I'm trying to think of the Spanish name, but I can't think of it. We're doing a sweat lodge. And so like we get naked in the sweat lodge, right? And there were men who were coming to build the fire and heat up the lava rocks. And one of the men that showed up was someone that this woman knew, and she was like, oh, like, I'm not getting naked in front of him. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. She's like, I know him. And so like, okay, whatever, we figured out like we would just get undressed in the sweat lodge, not like outside and then go in. So as we're getting, I think this was afterwards, sometime we were talking about it, and she was like, you know, I don't want to say anything bad about him, but, you know, I've heard that he has these like gifts, but he only offers these gifts to really beautiful women. And I was like, yeah. So when we were in the yard, like he and I had crossed paths at one point, and my empath detectors were like, like, this is not good energy. And then she told me that afterwards, and I was like, okay, there's my validation. And she was like, well, I feel so bad saying this about him. And I was like, girl, no. I was like, that's not judgment. That is discernment. I'm like, if you have heard things, seen things, and your body is like, not feeling good, like, listen. We are not meant to love everyone. We are not meant to like everyone. We are not meant to tolerate everyone. We are not meant to engage with everyone. Like, if your empathy says, oh, this might not be good, stay away, disengage, right? This is like energetic boundaries 101 that empaths need to learn, because we want to help everyone. We want to save everyone. We want to do nice things. We want to make people feel good when they're not feeling good. It is not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to maintain our own energy field and to take the utmost care of it and to listen to our inner guidance, regardless of how that makes anyone else feel. It is not our job to take care of other people's emotions, right? So there's just one clear example. So this ability to really discern is really powerful. And in all my years as a reckless party girl, I never got hurt. I never got in trouble. I never got myself in a bad situation. And I did some dumb things, but it's because my discernment was always very, very good. Like, I just always knew when it was time to get out of a situation, if this was a person I should spend time with or not. Not everyone has that level of discernment. So really listen and use that and be grateful for it. And don't feel like you're judging or you're hurting anyone. You are taking care of your energy field. Okay, so empowered empath, high level of discernment. Once you can get your energy field clean and clear, cut all those cords, you can start to touch. So for me, it's not like, my energy field is open, come on in, let me take out all your stuff, right? No, even just doing that motion, my body's like, ooh, why'd you do that? Okay, so your energy field, right, your aura is this bubble around you. And you want to be discerning with how big you make it and how small you make it. So when you're in the presence of people that you trust, when you're in a safe container like this, right, my energy field is wide open. Like, you guys have access to anything and everything from me. I'll share anything here. If I go on a New York City subway, I'm not walking in with that energy, right? Because it makes you extremely vulnerable to people who don't have the best intentions. So when you go into a crowded place, or a place, even going to a party where you're like, ooh, the vibe is not great in here, you shut your energy, you close your energy field, and you shrink your aura down. Okay, so you have the power to open or shrink your energy field at any time. I'll try to remember to do this exercise in the meditation, but usually it just comes through and we'll see what you guys need.
I would love to, I'd love to see you shrink.
Yeah, okay. You're like, I don't know who you are with the shrunk energy field. But it's funny, like in my work, people get a very different impression of me than who I am walking around day to day at the grocery store, like going, like, I'm not this because it's not safe. I don't tell people what I do. I'm very friendly. I'm a Gemini rising. Like I can meld in with anyone, but I'm not opening my field to people at all. Like I'm very discerning. Even to very nice people, people have a lot of baggage. They have a lot of unspoken stuff. They're carrying a lot of trapped emotions and baggage. And I like, as an empath, I feel like our job is to reach out and put a hand, metaphorically, energetically speaking, put a hand on someone else's energy field, go, okay, that's what's there. And then you choose, and then you take it away. And then you choose to engage with that energy or not, right? You choose to like open to it. This is safe. This person's being authentic. Or if they're not, you're closing and you're disengaging and you're doing something else. You're walking away. Excuse me, I need to go use the bathroom, or like whatever you need to do, politely disengage. That's the strategy. So once you understand this discernment and you understand your ability to touch people's energy fields and read it very clearly, and the more practice, the more you can read people's energy fields, you have this power to move energy. Because other people who are not empaths, they're not aware of this energy. They can't touch it, they can't feel it, they can't know it. Some people can see auras, right? But they're not connecting to it in the same way as you are as an empath. So you have the capacity to shift that energy. Now, this is where empaths get lost. They want to shift and fix all the energy, right? And that's what people pleasing comes in. Your job is to discern with that touch, is this energy that I want to hold space for? Is this energy that I want to open my field to and connect with? And most of the time, the answer should be no. It should be no. You should only be opening up your field in situations where people are inviting you in, right? When I'm in a session, when I'm in a thing like this, my energy field is open. I'm not touching the energy of everyone in the group, but I'm open to the energy of the group container, right? And then if someone wants to get on and ask a question, there's an immediate connection to the energy field there. So this is a safe space where I would do that. Outside of this kind of work, not so much. So, you can certainly, like, you walk by someone, you get a vibe immediately, right? And you can say to someone like, how are you? Like with a more than like, hey, how are you? What's going on? I'm so busy, blah, blah, blah. Like a real, like, how are you? And people know the difference when you ask and you really want to know deeper how they are. So you can begin to hold space for other people's emotions. But the first step is learning how to hold space for your own emotions. So when you become a master of clean energy field, knowing what emotions are coming through you, feeling them fully, embodying them, integrating them, releasing them, moving forwards. This is step one, but your energy field has to get clear, and then you start practicing with yourself. And then when you get good at that, you can touch other people's energy fields with an invitation, and you can help them move energy. And that's how I became an energy healer, was through just practice. I tried to study Reiki like at least a dozen times. I tried to sign up and I was always blocked. The universe was like, you're not supposed to do Reiki. You are meant to use your own method of energy healing. And so I connected with Archangel Chamuel one day, or rather he connected with me and gave me this gift of energy healing. And that's what I use in my sessions. So, if you are called, or if you want it, you've already been called. You have the capacity to be a really, really powerful energy healer, because you can tap into that subtle energy that other people can't feel, and that people can't feel within themselves. They can't tap into that subtle level of energy for themselves even, but you can tap into that subtle energy for yourself too. So you can become a very powerful healer of yourself when you get the field cleared. You don't have everybody else's crap in the way. So you become a powerful space holder. You become a powerful energy mover. And you learn to allow people to be in their emotions and hold space for it. You don't have to change it. You don't have to fix it for them. You don't have to try to control it for them or make it comfortable for you. You get comfortable with other people's discomfort. That's a really, really powerful space to be. And that's a really, really powerful healer, because the work I do now primarily is, it sounds so simple, but I just create safe space. I set the intention. And then people do their own healing work. And that's ultimately my goal. I'm not doing as many intuitive readings anymore. I'm not doing as much muscle testing and intuitive guidance. I'm teaching people how to tap into this for themselves. And because I don't want you to need me. I don't want you to rely on an energy healer. I don't want you to rely on your psychic or medium to give you answers. It has to come back to inner authority. And when we get women and empaths and healers and light workers and star seeds connected to their inner authority in clean energy fields, that's how we move mountains of energy in this world. And that's how we create the new earth, where empathy, empaths are regarded as some of the most powerful and most sought after people around, because we just know things. And we have these superpowers to really help people change things. And you'd be amazed how much energy you can transmute just through mirror work, through your own embodiment practices. I've found my work is shifting in some ways to transmuting energy for the collective at this point. Like, I'm not meant to do as much one-to-one FaceTime because I'm holding space for bigger things now. I'm coaching spiritual entrepreneurs who are growing their businesses, so that, because my reach got tapped out in terms of how many people I could serve. And so then Spirit was like, hey, you have to start teaching healers how to do this too, how to put it out there and how to make a living from it. And so my reach is shifting and changing, which is the natural evolution, right, of all growth. Okay, so just to recap, the empowered empath, highly attuned to subtle energy, high level of discernment, able to move energy very powerfully and efficiently, able to hold space for other people, and able to allow others to have their emotions and not need to control them or change them. It's a really cool, fun place to be. So how the hell do you go from the disempowered empath to the empowered empath? One simple practice that changed my life was grounding. Like, I didn't know what grounding was. I'd never heard of it. Like, maybe I'd heard of people like put their feet in the earth, but not in 2014. People weren't really talking about that. Grounding is such a powerful practice, because the deeper you go with your energy, the higher you can reach with your energy. So the more grounded you are and fully present in your body in the moment, the higher levels of spiritual information you can access. And then the more power you have to shift and move energy, to hold space. So grounding, number one. Embodiment, number two. Embodiment means we're getting out of the brain. The brain is over, okay? Like, the brain is the 20th century, it's the 21st century. We're not using the brain anymore. We're using the body now. The body, the heart, the gut, whatever you want to call it. So embodiment is getting out of our minds, which tend to have us spinning, swirling, off in the future, back in the past, writing stories that probably aren't going to come true, that we don't want to come true, right? The brain wastes a lot of energy. When you can just tune down the brain and drop your consciousness from here down, all the way down, you can feel. And so as empaths, we may have avoided feeling for some time because we were probably feeling too much for too long. So you have this like backlog of emotions, right? It can also and so I see the emotions as like they run through a tube almost. And so if your emotional channel is all full of old emotions, it's full of other people's emotions, it's full of stuff you picked up 10 years ago that you haven't processed, and a new emotion comes in, you're immediately overflowing. Like, your glass it's too much, and you just immediately, like, you're highly sensitive, right? Everything is setting you off now. You're feeling too much. if you get that channel clear, an emotion comes in, it works its way through the process, and it's out and it's done, and you're back in your clear energy field, and you're back in the present moment. You can feel the messages of your body. These emotional channels are within the body, right? And so if our emotional channel is clogged, a lot of times we can't feel the sensations of the body, we can't feel the guidance of the body, we can't feel the wisdom of the body. So we need to get this emotional channel clear. And the easiest way that I think to do that, again, it's not through the mind, it's through the body, it's through embodiment work. So I teach a method called soul flow, which is just a form of dancing, free dancing. I teach mirror work, which is like dancing and movement in front of the mirror. It could be walking. There's something though about music and free movement that gets that channel clear and moves a lot through. So, there's many methods of embodiment. If you're not familiar with it, like look it up. I teach mirror work classes once a week, but start to just get familiar with the concept of embodiment and start to feel it. And we'll do that in our meditation today. After embodiment, listening to that inner authority. So once you're grounded, once you're in your body, you can start to feel that inner authority. And so another aspect I bring into my work is human design, because everyone has a little bit different inner authority. Some people are emotional authorities, and emotions are going to be their biggest guidance system. Some people are a sacral authority, and this gut feeling of yes or no is going to come through. Some people are an intuitive authority, so they're going to get this quick intuitive hit when it's time to make a decision. And there's other types, but you have to be in your body, and you have to be feeling for that to happen. You have to be conscious and aware of it. So like close your eyes and feel into your body. What is my body trying to tell me? Because, and I'll share, like I have some high level clients who are really powerful and brilliant and intuitive, and the piece they've been missing for years is embodiment and this connection to the inner wisdom. And so when you're missing that, it manifests as illness and symptoms, because you can't feel the subtle cues. You can't feel the little nudges, or you feel them, but you ignore them because your brain says, I have to do this. I have to stay in this job. I have to keep making this amount of money. I have to take care of this person. I have to stay in this relationship. I have to, right? I should be doing, right? People say don't shit on yourself. Like when you continuously ignore the inner wisdom, shit goes really bad in your life. Things start falling apart. Your body starts breaking down. You get sicker and sicker until you're in a point of catastrophe. And so this inner wisdom is going to tell us to do things that don't make sense to the brain. But the thing is, the brain has been conditioned and programmed, and it's very weak. Our brains are not very smart. Our brains are good at collecting data around us, but our brains are not good at making decisions because they're limited. They can't connect to higher realms of energy. That comes through the body. That comes through the hormonal system. That's not in the brain. It is, but it's not. It comes through the body wisdom. It comes through the spirit, right? So learning to trust the body. Like I have made some of the most ridiculous decisions in the last 5 years. People told me I was crazy. People were cruel to me. People judged me. But I made those decisions anyway. And I was scared shitless sometimes, but I made them anyway because my body was telling me yes. And they are the best decisions I've ever made. They've never steered me wrong. Making those decisions that follow the rules and that are like the right thing to do, they don't always pan out. I'll give you an example. I left a corporate job in New York City, and I had made it. I had a 6-figure salary. I worked from home. I had a company car. They flew me around the country. There were all these promotions. I had no cap on how far I could go. But after being in that job for about just shy of a year, I was miserable. I was gaining a pound every month. I would finish work and I would be so depleted and dead. Like, I wouldn't go to this like world renowned Pilates studio across the street. I loved Pilates. I'd already paid for the class and I couldn't get myself to walk down the stairs and go across the street. Like, I was suffering. My body was like, no. All day I would walk around and I would work and I would be like, I hate this. This is horrible. I don't want to do this. I feel uncomfortable. I was empathing everything. At that point in time, I didn't know I was an empath. And so I quit that job. I had no job lined up. I had no plan. I had a little bit of money in savings and I moved to Rhode Island. And so long story short, I moved here. I was a registered dietitian at the time. I applied to one of the biggest jobs in Rhode Island, which was the clinical nutrition manager at Rhode Island Hospital. Like, if you're a dietitian in Rhode Island, like, doesn't get much bigger than this. We're a small state. It's a big hospital, but what a nice thing to put on my resume, right? When I got the job offer, I cried because the benefit package was horrendous. The salary was not great by any stretch. It was like the same salary to manage 20 dietitians as I had previously been paid to manage 3 dietitians. I knew I was going to be like a slave. It was 2 weeks of paid time off without including sick time. There were no raises being given. Like, it was a horrible job offer. So, and I had no money at the time. Like, I needed a job bad. I had been unemployed. But my body was like, no. Like, I heard the voicemail and I just started crying. Like, my whole body sank. And so I didn't take the job. And I struggled financially for like another year trying to figure out what the hell I was doing and what my purpose was. And I think that's probably right at the same time I found that my first spiritual teacher and healer. And so logically, that was the best option I had, right? But my inner wisdom was saying, girl, no, that is not the path for you. If I had taken that job, I would have continued to gain weight. I would have become more physically ill. I would have become more stressed. Like, things would have gone terribly wrong. I might like have more money and security, imaginary, but no. So don't do the things that make sense. Do the things that your body is telling you to do. And you have to develop this inner trust that is unshakable. Like, even when you're like, oh my God, this doesn't make any sense. The second year I started my business, it was October, and I think or September, I'd probably made about $40,000 that year, which was like not covering the bills. Barely, right? There's like expenses behind that and stuff. I invested in a $30,000 year-long mastermind. That's insane. It doesn't make any sense. I had like a little bit of money in 401ks, like retirement funds, and I put it all into that program. And the next year, my business made $125,000. Did I know that was going to happen? I had no idea. It was insane. My marriage ended because I signed up for that mastermind, because I was so fully committed to this path. I knew I needed to be in that container, and that mastermind was one of the best things I've ever done. I would go back and pay double for it. So, and it taught me a lot about boundaries, and that's why my marriage ended. That's another topic, but also was a really good thing. So, my point with these stories is coming back to inner authority is the most important thing. Because if I had made the safe choices, if I had made the logical choices, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I wouldn't be going where I'm going. I'm still making crazy decisions. And it's the only way I know how to live now is through my intuition and through my inner authority. And so as an empath, it's exceptionally important to get your energy field clear so you can hear this inner authority, and to get your emotional channels clear so you can feel the things and work with them and move past them. And also know when you're picking up on other people's stuff that may be creating fear, anxiety, limitations, depression, anxiety, any number of things, right? So connecting to that inner authority, and then having good boundaries. Again, this is that discernment thing. Like, I just did a workshop on boundaries and sacred anger and reclaiming inner authority. And the most important thing for you guys to take away that I can share in the 5 minutes before we kind of drop into this meditation is nobody gets access to your energy unless they are going to give you an equal return to what you are going to give them. Okay, so nobody gets access to your energy. Your energy is sacred, it is powerful, it is special, it is personal. It's like a well full of gold, liquid gold, right? Not anyone can just dip their dirty cup in there and take what they want, right? You have to have a special pass to get into the golden well. Okay, so as an empath, one of the most powerful things you can recognize is energy exchange. So when I get in a container like this, I am pouring out a shitload of energy. Like I'm giving you guys everything I have. Like it is, I took some notes. They just popped in. I gave Sara the title like 2 months ago. And it's, it's kind of been, I've been marinating on it. I was laying in bed this morning and I was like, oh, here we go. This, that, this. Okay, my talk is done. Like it just channels through me. And so my energy field is open. My intuition is, all the channels are open. You guys are getting everything I have, but you guys are also sending energy back to me. Even if I can't see your faces, even if I just know, like I just feel it. The energy is coming back to me. And so this is an equal energy exchange. So I love doing this. My clients are equal energy exchanges. So I have a client that's draining. They're not going to be my client for very long. I'm going to ask spirit to see them out. Or I have had to fire clients because they want to take and steal and take energy. So start to pay attention to how you feel around certain people. When you guys come into this container, you probably feel really inspired. You feel excited. You feel like, wow, there's so much potential and possibility for me. But then if you go to the office, or if you go to, I don't know, your friend who's like a big complainer and is struggling, and you're like, well, I feel so tired after this, and I like need a nap, and like, start to pay attention to who's giving you an equal energy exchange and who's trying to steal your energy. Because as empaths, we have this, and this is just completely channels, they're flowing in right now. We have this magnetic, like golden aura, because we're natural healers, we're natural nurturers, we're natural caretakers, we're natural energy healers. And so people will want to steal that. I don't even want to say this, but the truth of it is that little empaths tend to be targets of abuse, bullying even, because our energy is so sacred and so powerful. People who are depleted and they don't know any better will come and steal it. That happened to me as a child as well. My empathy was stolen, and it took me a long time to get it back. So just remember how sacred and powerful your energy is. You're not sensitive. You are powerful as fuck. And pardon my French, but you are one of the most powerful energy movers on the planet. So if you can start to view your empathy as that level of power, you're going to be able to do a lot with it. You're meant to use your empathy. You're not meant to suffer taking on other people's stuff. So if I can leave you with any message, that would be it. All right. Shall we do a quick grounding, embodiment, aura management meditation?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed in the chat, someone wants to know how to cut cords. Maybe if you could incorporate a touch of that into the meditation?
Yep, totally.
Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me, I have to blow my nose real quick. Okay. All right, so I'm going to invite you guys to close your eyes. There's a lot of adrenaline pumping through my body right now. I get really, really excited when I do this. So I need to ground right now. So just close your eyes. Start to take some deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. I'm just rolling the shoulders back and stretching through the crown of the head a little bit. Have a little wiggle and just, I don't know, move some creaks and cracks and things through the body so we get these energy channels opening up a little bit. And then I'm going to invite you to draw your attention to the center of your head, right between the ears. And in this space, you're connecting to the pineal gland, which is the center of your intuition. It's where all the intuitive information comes in and lands and gets translated for the brain to understand what it means. So connecting deeply into that pineal gland, center of the head. And then sending your energy cord down from the base of your spine, down into the ground. Sending it down deeper, deeper, deeper. Through the layers of earth, rock, fossil, ancient seabeds, stone, magma, and finally all the way to the center of the earth, where you find a crystal. And I want you to take note of the color, the shape, the size of that crystal. And wrap your grounding cord around that crystal at the core of Mother Earth, knowing that that particular crystal holds the exact frequency that you need to embody today. It's holding the exact vibration that's going to help you come home to the truth of who you are, to the power of your empathy and intuition, to the full embodiment of your highest potential. Anchoring you into the loving, peaceful, abundant energy of Mother Earth. Grounding you deeply, securely. And just take note of how your body feels as you ground. Notice your heart rate, your breathing, your level of peace. And now I want you to cut that grounding cord and become ungrounded. Disconnect from the earth. Send all of the energy back into your brain, into thoughts, beliefs, conditioning. And now see how your body feels. Again, noticing your heart rate. Maybe you feel your blood pressure change. Noticing any areas of tension or tightness. Any sensations in the chest or the belly. Just feeling that contrast from a grounded to an ungrounded state. And then let's send that grounding cord back down, all the way through the earth, to the core of the earth, wrapping around that crystal. Again, anchoring you into the peaceful, healing, abundant, present energy of Mother Earth. And then we're going to run some energy through the energy centers in the body. So we'll do a little clearing, an energy clearing exercise here, so we can get your aura nice and clear. So envisioning the soles of your feet opening up and pulling beautiful golden earth energy up through the feet, past the ankles, through the calves, the knees, through the thighs and into the hips. And sending that golden energy through the front of the root chakra, at the base of the spine, out the back of it and down that grounding cord. And then bringing that energy up the front of the body into the sacral chakra, just below the belly button, out the back of it and down the grounding cord. Running that energy through the solar plexus chakra, just above the belly button, and down the grounding cord. And finally, running that golden energy through the last of the lower chakras, through the heart, filling that heart space. All this golden energy cleansing, clearing, and transmuting the body. And sending that golden energy down the back channels and down the grounding cord. And then I'll ask you to envision a bubble of swirling purple divine light just above your head. Sending that energy down the back of the head, down the back channels, wrapping it around either side of the hips, through the front of the root chakra, and down the grounding cord. Wrapping it around the sacral chakra, and down the grounding cord. Wrapping it around the sides of the body through the front of the solar plexus chakra, out the back and down the grounding cord. Wrapping it around the chest through the heart chakra, out the back and down the grounding cord. And splitting that energy at the neck and sending it down each arm, out the hands. Activating and clearing the hand chakras, which are your primary centers for energy healing. Wrapping that purple energy around the neck through the throat chakra, out the back and down the grounding cord. Wrapping it around the forehead through the third eye, just between the eyebrows. Out the back of the head and down the grounding cord. And finally, wrapping it around the crown chakra, which sits just above the head. Out the back, down the back channels, and down the grounding cord. And then imagine sort of stepping away from yourself, taking a bird's eye view, and looking at all of this beautiful divine and earth energy flowing through the chakras, cleansing, clearing energy that is not yours or that is no longer serving your highest good. Transmuting energy into the highest vibrations of love and light. And then you'll fountain that purple energy out the crown of your head, allowing it to spin or wrap or drip around your aura, this egg-shaped bubble of energy that surrounds your body from head to toe. And watching that purple energy, feeling it, knowing it, maybe even hearing it crackle and spark as it moves around your aura, cutting any cords. Calling all of your energy back to the present moment. And now dropping your awareness from that pineal gland at the center of the head down, all the way into the gut, all the way into the belly. Feeling all of your energy in the present moment, feeling alive, powerful, connected, clear. We'll also invite Archangel Michael to come and cut any cords we may have attached to past, present, or future. Completely clearing our energy field, surrounding us in a bubble of purple light that will protect us and allow only the highest vibrations of love and light to access our field. And then any lower vibrational energies will simply be bounced away. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Really anchoring into this feeling of grounded, embodied, present energy. And as you sit in this space of a clean, clear energy field, I'll invite you to experiment with your aura. So go ahead and make your aura big. Maybe expand it to the size of the room. And see how that feels in your body. Does it feel good? Does it feel like too much? Do you feel like you want to go bigger? And then try shrinking your aura down. Bring it down to an inch away from your skin. And see how that feels. Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel contracted? Does it feel tight? Does it feel safe? And then just adjust your aura to where it feels best for you in this moment, right? And at any moment in time, you can adjust your aura. And now I will invite you to take a few more deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And when you're ready, wiggling fingers and toes, beginning to bring your conscious awareness back to the room, back to our call. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. My eyes always water when I do things like this. I don't know why. Oh, it's moving energy, right? Tears are a physical representation of energy. It's why we have tears when we cry, because it moves energy out of the body. So I guess it's like it's not crying, but it's definitely a movement that comes through the eyes watering. Okay, so I managed to do that in the amount of time. Does anybody want to ask any questions or have comments or anything? Nothing is off limits. I am a totally open book. And whether you want to unmute or chat, you are very welcome. So yeah, the steps I ran you through there were connecting to the pineal gland. Yes, I have a website. I'll put it in here. It's rachelpelisson.com. You can find me on Instagram as well at rachelpelisson.healing, although I have been taking a little Instagram break for about coming up on 2 weeks. Yes, you can repeat that exercise as many times as you need to. You can do that that's like a very short format that I just did that meditation, but I have like hour-long ones on my website and YouTube. And I have so let me tell you what I did, and then I'll repeat that. Okay, so first, connecting to the pineal gland, because this is your center for intuition, right? So we get the power of the head doesn't come from the brain, it comes from the pineal gland. And so connecting to that, and it's like this depth, you go like it immediately when you connect to that pineal gland, I feel like I go so deep. And then, so pineal gland, then the grounding cord. then running the earth energy and the cosmic energy through the chakras, then clearing the energy field, asking for a bubble of protection. You can ask for cords to be cut specifically, especially if you feel like that's something that you need. I've personally gotten to the point where I feel like I don't have energy cords. I don't pick them up. If I do, I feel them right away. And so I don't feel the need to explicitly say that anymore. But for a long time, I really did. I really needed to. And then a bubble of protection, always a good thing to ask for. So I do this meditation every night at bedtime. I lay in bed with my daughter. She's 5, to put her to bed. And so I do this for her just in my mind. And then I do it for myself. And it's like my reset every day. And then anytime I open a container with a client, especially if I'm doing intuitive work, I will say, okay, like we'll chat for a bit and then I'll say, okay, give me a minute or two to just ground and clear. And that's what I'm doing as I connect to the other person's energy. So you can do that in long format, like you could spend an hour running energy through your chakras and clearing your field, or you can do it in 30 seconds. This is a great thing to do, like if you're on an airplane and you're getting overwhelmed, just go in the bathroom and do this. Or if you're at a party, or even if you are starting to like lose your patience with your kids and need a reset, just go lock yourself in the bathroom for 2 minutes and give yourself a reset. This practice of grounding, did anybody feel a difference from the grounded to the ungrounded state? What did you feel, Sarah?
It just felt like I was floating out in the air in not a good way, really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's so, I just love that visualization of actually sending the cord down and wrapping it around.
Yeah. Mother Earth has got some power, guys. Like and she wants us to tap into it. It's like not tapping into it is a waste. Like the universe wants us to tap into these energies, and it's where we become our most powerful selves.
I feel
So
like I feel like if I don't ground, that I have more physical pain in my body on
mhm.
days that I get up and I don't remember automatically to start doing that. And I bubble all my children too.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that are empathic and never heard about bubbling and grounding and, cord cutting is still a hard one because a lot of people look at me when I try to explain that to them like I'm crazy, like, oh, well, we're not babies, we don't have cords. And I'm like, but you do. You attach yourself to people, especially people you're around with all the time. And if you don't release that and let that go, they're feeding off your energy that whole time.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. It can be super, super draining. I mean, when I've seen some gnarly energy cords attached to people where you're like in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh, like they're like swollen and pussy and like like it, like the imagery is horrible. Like I'm like, we got to get this thing out of you. And it's amazing. People will feel a very quick shift in how they feel and how they interact. Yeah, this energy stuff is so real, and it's so simple when you learn it and understand it, and it's so important when you're an empath, more than for the average person. So yeah, and so as empaths, we don't have to shrink away from the world. We don't have to not go in public places. We don't have to, I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoy like crowded bars or concerts the way I used to, but I'm also almost 40. So um so yeah, this here's a cool story about just a quick one about bubble protection. I hosted a retreat in September, and we went to the beach here in Rhode Island. And before we left, we did an exercise like this. And I asked for bubble of protection around each person, around the house, the property, our vehicles, our spot we were going to be at the beach. And we went to the beach. We had this like beautiful luxury picnic, and then everybody like ran and played in the water and did stuff. And we came back to the table, and I was like, oh my gosh, we left all the food out on the table. And meanwhile, like a month or two earlier that summer, I was sitting on this exact same beach, and I had like a rice cake with avocado in my hand. And I got like dive bombed from behind by a seagull, grabbed my rice cake and flew away. And I was like, what the hell just happened? But we left this whole spread of food out and no seagulls came. Like I was like, how did that happen? And one of the girls was like, you did a bubble of protection. And I was like, yep, I did a bubble of protection. So it really works. Like if you're on the road in your car and you start to get nervous or you see someone driving erratically, just remember to ask for that bubble of protection around your car so that you stay safe, your car stays safe, there's no damages. Anytime you get that hit where you get nervous or afraid, just ask for protection and it's totally there for you. So all right, any last thoughts or questions, anybody, or Sarah?
I just have one little last question about the pineal gland and that being the center of your intuition. I know a lot of people think that your gut is the center of your intuition, but yeah, could you say a little bit more about what the pineal gland is about?
Yeah, so to me, the pineal gland is where I intuitively see all the channels come in. So like the way it's been shown to me are like these like cones kind of that come out of the ears. This is your clairaudience. Your clairsentience goes down into the body. That's your ability to feel. Your claircognizance comes in through the top of the head, and the clairvoyance comes in through the third eye, or it's through the third eye, right? So there's all these cones that come in and they channel all of the vibrations and the energy into the pineal gland. And then the pineal gland sends stuff to the brain so we can interpret it. So it's like it turns vibrations into images, it turns vibrations into colors, it turns sound vibrations into words. So the pineal gland is like the receiver essentially. So like it's like there's all these there's radio waves around us all the time that we can't hear, but if we have a receiver and we turn on our radio, we can tune into all these different channels. So the pineal gland is like the radio receiver. And so if your pineal gland is calcified from having exposure to too much fluoride, it's very difficult to hear all those things. So it's an important thing to take good care of your pineal gland and keep fluoride out of your water and food and toothpaste and all that stuff. So the intuition comes in all those channels. So yes, it does come through the body. It comes through the gut. It comes through the heart. But it also comes through the ears, it comes through the knowing, and it comes through the visions. So like if you get prophetic dreams, that's intuition channeling through the third eye into the pineal gland. So empaths may have more clairsentience that comes in through the body. So yes, the gut is also like instinctual, because down in those lower chakras, like the root and the sacral and the solar plexus, those are more physically oriented chakras, whereas these higher chakras are more spiritually oriented. So like the evolution of the chakras, Cro-Magnon man only had like 5 energy centers, and they didn't have these higher ones because they were more focused on just survival and instinct. So yeah, and according to human design, we've actually evolved into this 9 energy center system. They don't call it chakras in human design, they call it energy centers, but I still use the 7 chakras because it's a vertical alignment, like it's the easiest, it makes the most sense. And then my intention is always that energy is cleansing, clearing, and transmuting through the whole body. So like again, like the little details of it are not important. It's in energy healing, it's the intention. It doesn't matter how you do it. It matters the intention that you hold. So there's many ways to do energy healing, and that one just feels good to me. So, you know, you like everything, you use your own discernment. If you like it, use it. If you're like, meh, it's not that great, I don't know why everybody else is raving about it, it's not for you. There's something else for you. So don't think if you don't feel it or you don't like it, you did something wrong. There just may be something else that's better for you, because we're all energetically very unique and different. So yeah, it's a good question. And then as far as human design goes too, it depends on if you are a sacral authority, a splenic authority, an emotional authority. you're going to feel your inner guidance in a different way. So for me, I'm a sacral authority. So it is down low, and it's like, and it radiates up my body. When it's a yes, I'm like, woo, like it's a whole body, like hell yes. And if I don't get that hell yes, it's a no. Like I'm looking at houses right now and I'm like, but I want this one to be a hell yes. And I'm like sitting in my body and I'm like, oh, what is it? But like, can I make it that? And like, it's not the one. Like when it's the one, I'm going to know. So, yeah, so it depends on your inner authority too, which can be a little different for everybody. But and some people actually, their authority is to talk out loud with other people, or even talk out loud to yourself if you don't have those lower energy centers defined. So that's obvious. This is a whole other topic, but everyone has a little different way of tapping into their inner authority, I would say. So it depends. But beginning to feel and just get embodied is the first. You have to be embodied first to tap into any of it. So.
Do you have time for one last question?
Yeah, sure. I have all the time in the world. I have no time constraints.
Okay, Melissa, go ahead.
So with the pineal gland, it was 6 or 7 years ago, I got sick with Guillain-Barré. And when they were doing the MRIs, they could see spots like holes on my pineal gland. And I reached a point where I couldn't ground anymore. I couldn't tell the difference between dreams and reality because these holes in it. And then when I started getting a little bit better and, willing myself to do more things, they did another MRI and they said it was healing itself. And that's like a very rare thing for it to do. But I believe with all the grounding and the energy work, it definitely helps with that. And it was with the holes in my pineal gland and the problems I was having, it caused so many problems. But the one, like I said, was being able to tell the difference between sleeping and being awake.
Yeah. So the pineal gland also regulates melatonin, right? Which is like your sleep-wake hormone. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. That would be exactly it. I think there's other things of pineal gland that science hasn't discovered or understood yet. What's the hormone that sort of regulates, it kind of regulates spiritual connection. I'm totally blanking on what it's called, but it's one of the things that plant medicines increases in your system, right? So you feel this powerful spiritual connection. You see spirit in the plants and trees and everywhere, right? Is it DMT? It's not DMT. Anyway, I think that the pineal gland, that hormone is produced in the lungs. That's why breath work can produce like visualizations and things. It's produced in different places in the body. But my intuitive understanding is that the pineal gland is responsible for a lot of that. And maybe science doesn't know that. I don't have information to back that up, but that's just what comes to me. And that's why the pineal gland is so important. And yeah, if your pineal gland is out of whack, that's such a great example that you shared, Melissa, like not being able to tell the difference between dreaming and being awake. That makes perfect sense. And that's got to be scary. So that's amazing you can heal almost anything in the body, and there's many different paths to that. I spent a lot of years as a nutritionist, helping people heal physical ailments. And what I came to realize is that the emotional and spiritual work is far more important. The physical is important. I still eat a super clean, like high produce diet, whole foods diet, but that's a portion of the puzzle it's a percentage of the pie. And doing this emotional, spiritual, energy healing work, this clean energy field, embodiment work, inner authority work, this is the ticket. This is the stuff that's far more important and far more powerful, and that's going to take you a lot further. So I've completely transitioned my practice from a nutritionist to like more of an intuitive coach, and helping women learn how to use their own inner authority and then boundaries, and become their own healers and create their lives, rather than being just kind of at the mercy of whatever shows up or whatever someone told you you can or can't have, or how you have to do it. I teach co-creation now in for women in life and business, and because I think you get to do, be, and have it all. You're not limited to what someone told you, or the traditional path of get an education, get married, get a job, have kids, work till you're 65, save in your retirement, and then live. Like, that's not the path. It's a path, and it may be great for some people, but it's not necessarily the path for everyone. There are so many paths, and when you can really tap into what your desires are, those true desires are your soul speaking through you. It's what your soul came to a physical plane to experience. So part of my work and my gifts are really integrating the 5D with the 3D. Like, you get to be in the 3D, and you get to have nice things, and you get to eat good food, and you get to have pleasure and love and joy and experience physical things, but you don't have to be of the broken systems that we live in, so you get to be in it but not of it, and you get to channel all of the magic and the power of the 5D into your world and your experience, and you can leverage that to create whatever life you want. If you want to live on a sailboat and cruise around the Caribbean in the winters, or if you want to, I don't know, travel around the world, or have a little cabin in the woods, or have a huge mansion on the beach, like whatever it is that you want, you can have that. It's what your soul came here to experience. And so grand or small, whatever suits you, that's what your soul came here to experience. It's why we're in a physical body. Being in a physical body is hard. Being in a 3D plane is hard. Think about how much you feel all the time, and like just how physically heavy our bodies are. It's a lot of work. So you get to enjoy it. You're meant to enjoy it. It's not, so like Sara said at the beginning, like a lot of what I do is bring a lot of joy back to healing, bring a lot of joy back to living. And like, life should be a party, I mean, everything is joy. Like, really, I have this, you can't read it, but you can probably see the rainbow back there. This is the themes of consciousness, and the third highest vibration is joy, followed by freedom and enlightenment, and love is below. So for me, bringing people to joy, I think we forget about joy as adults. We forget about joy as empaths when we're picking up other people's negative stuff all the time. So if we can bring joy back as our guidance system, the world is your oyster. If you can follow joy and listen to your inner authority, ladies, you can do, be, and have anything. Like, you get to be the creator of your world, and it's really fun. And there's a lot of healing to do, but it's totally worth it. And the place my life is now compared to 2 years ago is wild. Like, I can't even believe how I got where I am. And I know I will continue to expand at this really rapid rate, and it's really fun and exciting. And sometimes it's a little scary. Like, I am perfectly human, just like the rest of you, and deal with relationships and parenting and money and all the things. But when you have this clean, clear energy field, when you're tapped into your power as an empath, and you're like a fairy, you get to like float around and just like move energy for people. Like, they don't even know you're doing it. It's really cool. It's really fun. And so again, it's that shift from, I'm going to go through the list, and we'll end with that. But taking on other people's emotions, feeling overwhelmed by negative emotions, anxious, fearful, overly sensitive, people pleasing, avoiding contact, to moving into being highly attuned to subtle energy, having a high level of discernment, able to move energy very powerfully and efficiently, holding space like a boss, and allowing other people to feel their emotions and not feeling the need to control or change anything within yourself or within others. That's the journey. So I hope that resonates for you guys, and you can take something from this into your daily lives.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I just have no words. I just loved every minute.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.